Okay, I'm sure medyo gutom na, but we'll prepare a bit of dishes later on for you to sample. Now, first of all, thank you for dropping by today. Super excited with what's happening, we're doing a lot of runs for this Future Menus event across the country, and this is actually the second one. Now, I really want to talk about food in the sense that we have to understand where it comes from. Okay, so all of our Future Menus events that's happening, we are going to be sharing this one so that you have insights, operator insights, and then kanina it was shared, meron tayong diner insights naman. And later on, we will talk about how we could marry those two insights together. Okay, so what am I supposed to talk about? Hindi ko alam. It's really about the 4 pillars, but we're doing 3. Okay, the 4 pillars are actually what is traditional food, what is heritage food, what is innovative food, and what is progressive food. Very thin line, okay? In the SEA market, the Southeast Asian market, we realized we can only work with 3 pillars, which is the heritage, innovative, and progressive. The reason being, if you look at it, in Singapore, for example, they don't have traditional dishes. But these are all borrowed dishes from different countries. These are all heritage dishes of theirs. Now, if you look at it in a structured way, which we don't have, that's the reason why when we create this concept of understanding the structure, it's easier now to create new dishes that really matter and tell a story. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Heritage food, okay, is food that has been innovated on at one point. Okay, so again, innovated on at one point. When you say innovated on, it has been tampered in a way wherein food could have been presented in a different way or made better by adding new ingredients, sustainable ingredients from the region, etc. So heritage food are dishes that actually create the nation via acceptability, okay, by from families, okay, from eventually a dish that could be shared, right? That could eventually create a province, okay? Later on, I'll give an example how it works. So yun yung heritage. If I have a pancit molo, okay, taught to me by my grandmother, that's my heritage, it's our heritage. That's how we would cook it, okay? And innovation, on the other hand, again, like I said, it has been tampered in a way that we could innovate on taste and presentation. Okay, so you could make it look better, taste better, adding our ingredients, adding something else to create a new dish. So at one point, anything that is actually seen on restaurants now in their menus are innovations already. Okay, now, then there comes in the progressive movement, wherein the younger chefs of today, they have this idea of creating something that's out of the box, creating a new cuisine, okay? But it still resonates Filipino in that sense. Okay, an example, okay? I'll go back to an example, for example, sisig. Okay, let's talk about this controversial dish. Okay, this is how you would understand it. I'm sure may mga Kapampangan. May Kapampangans ba dito? Okay? Sisig is actually a dish born out of a method. Okay, in 1732, it was first seen in the Kapampangan dictionary that sisigaan is to sour. So it actually started out as a vegetable dish na sinaserve sa mga buntis, no? Because they would dip it in vinegar. It's actually a dish made with a dressing. Okay, in this case, vinegar. So sisigaan is the method to sour. Eventually, they used in the 70s, 60s or 70s, when the Americans came in, they had a lot of offcuts ng pork. Okay, they created what we call the sisig babi. Sisig babi is actually boiling offcuts, the ears, the face, the nose, and eventually still doing that souring technique, okay, of sisigan. So it becomes the sisig babi that Kapampangans know. All right. Now that was already an innovation by changing that protein from vegetables to meat. Tama? So again, from a traditional or a heritage dish becomes an innovation. Comes aling lucine. Have you guys watched the new Netflix film, I Love Filipino, from G.T. Manigan? Okay? It's actually very interesting. Okay, and he was talking about this dish, no? So, Aling Lusing eventually, at one point, sa Angeles, they used to grill mga barbecue pig's face during American time. And what they did is, it was actually sisigan sariles, okay? Or sariles, if you go to Angeles, maraming mga stalls dyan serving barbecue. And the pigs, what they do is actually barbecue, not even sisig. So at one point, si Aling Lusing, which we all know, started this trend, okay, of creating a new dish from pig's ears na nasunog niya. So she was grilling something, nasunog niya yung ears and yung face, whatever. And then, imbis na itapon niya, she created a new dish, but still had the concept of sisigan. It needs to sour, and she served it with onions, okay, and then vinegar, and served it to a guest. So that's her new style of sisig, okay. So again, it was an innovation, right, from the basic heritage dish. Now, this dish became well known throughout Angeles. Word spread, there's a new dish in town, super nice, goes with beer really well. Eventually, people found out that, Aling Lusing is doing it like this. How can I innovate on that? Maybe one time, a guy from Manila went to Angeles, and eventually created his own style of sisig. Diba? So he innovated on that heritage dish of Angeles. So sisig is actually a heritage dish of Angeles. It was made, when you say a heritage dish, you cannot tamper. That's something very religious to them. Okay, so because everyone loved it, alright, it eventually became a national dish or a regional, a provincial dish of Pampanga. So automatic when you say sisig, it's from Pampanga, but it was born actually in Angeles. Okay, so that's how it spreads. And now sisig is super accepted by the Filipinos, and it becomes what we call a national dish. But do you know we don't have a national dish? Do you know that? We never have a national dish. Neither adobo is a national dish, sisig is nothing. It's actually a national dish through tradition. We embrace it as our national dish, but for it to be a national dish kasi it has to be passed through law. Okay, that the president will say, okay, this is a national dish, and we will put it as such. Wala tayong national dish. So, but again, the representation of sisig, being a heritage dish, is a tangible part of Pampanga. Okay, now, this is where it becomes interesting. Bear with me, I love to talk about food. When people call it sisig, and you try to manipulate and change what sisig is, that's where the problem comes in. Someone from Manila brought it back to Manila, went to Angeles, brought it back to Manila, placed some mayonnaise, placed more liquid seasoning. Diba? Ang sarap. Diba? Everyone loved it. Lalo pa nagalit kasi naglagay pa ng itlog. Diba? So, and then sizzling. Diba? Ang sarap yan with rice. Diba? So, in the end, there's nothing wrong with that. Diba? That's how that person really likes his food. If I put something in my food, does it make it wrong? No. It becomes wrong when there's already, my naming issues, misrepresentation. Because for them, sisig has to be a salad, has to be sour. Okay? So don't call it sisig. You call it sisig ni Kenneth, kunwari. Okay? Sisig in Manila style sisig. So then, what you're trying to do is you're honoring your roots, the heritage of Angeles, okay? By creating your own version because you were inspired to do that. So ganun lang, no? So I think that's the reason why this the structure that we created and sharing with you guys is for you to understand where your restaurants fall. Okay, and eventually, when we have these diner trends that we're sharing, it's easier now to create a recipe. Okay, at the end of the day, a recipe that you create has to tell a story. Without a story, walang soul yan. Okay, it's nothing. Okay, so that's how we would actually think about food. Alright, it's nothing new. I think it's just really about creating that proper structure. Okay, so that's a bit of my sharing today. Later on, we'll be doing a couple of dishes. Okay, I'll be cooking one of the dishes that I really like, and I'll explain more about it. And let's go think of something that you could ask me later on how we could melt these two insights together. Okay, so it's much more interesting for everyone. Okay, have a great afternoon, guys. Thank you.